Sky News Tonight with Christopher Morris and Heather Scott.
Hello, good evening. Holland's biggest bank, ABN AMRO, has joined the race to buy the collapsed merchant bank Barrings. They've joined another Dutch bank, ING, in the bidding. Today, Singapore's financial regulators revealed that their investigations into the collapsed merchant bank Barrings was not focused just on Nick Leeson. And evidence is growing that Barrings was warned 3 years ago that it could face disaster.
Until now, the Singapore authorities had maintained a stoical silence. But amid the paperwork brought to their first news conference was one vital letter. It was a Barrings bombshell. The letter, written by Barrings' local boss, James Bax, nearly 3 years ago, sent a stern warning to the bank's head office in London of a potential crisis. "My concern," wrote Mr. Bax, "is that once again we are setting up a structure which will subsequently prove disastrous." It revealed that Mr. Bax was worried that Barrings would lose a lot of money and clients. It now seems that warning in 1992 went unheeded. So too did another alert only last year.
An internal audit report on the company was prepared for the Barrings Group in August 1994, and this report recognized that, quote, "there is a significant general risk that the controls could be overridden by the general manager, Leeson," unquote.
The worry was that Nick Leeson was not only in charge of trading, but also settling the bills. The picture of Leeson that emerged was of a man dealing wild with little company control, ending in disastrous consequences.
The failure of internal controls within the Barrings Group has allowed the general manager of Barrings Futures Singapore to commit the Barrings Group to substantial positions, which now account for the loss sustained by the Barrings Group.
The records, as we have found them, are in a state of some disarray. You can draw your own inferences from that.
Although the investigations are far from complete, these latest revelations raise one very crucial question. Did Nick Leeson really act alone, or was there a far wider responsibility within Barrings Bank? Jeremy Thompson, Sky News, Singapore.
It seems foreign investors are queuing up to buy Barrings, but their enthusiasm masks mixed blessings. The latest to make a bid is Dutch bank ABN AMRO, now in competition for Barrings with its arch-rival ING. But it's unclear where this leaves Barrings investors, who include a number of British charities, as well as the Queen. A spokesman for ABN AMRO refused to say whether the bid would cover Barrings' £600 million losses. And unlike ING's, its offer is only for parts of the bank, which would mean breaking up Barrings, throwing fresh doubt on the future of its 4,000 employees. At Barrings, several senior executives are expected to resign in the wake of the collapse, as the financial world asks how one 28-year-old dealer managed to demolish Britain's oldest bank.
I think the finger should certainly be pointed at those senior executives who were responsible for managing assets and liabilities of the bank. So I think the finger should certainly be pointed at a very senior level.
The Bank of England too has come in for heavy criticism for failing to foresee the collapse, and the city faces demands for tougher controls.
It's developed into a casino attitude. A few people at the very top are taking disproportionate gains for themselves, behaving in a cavalier fashion, and they have to be brought to book.
The criminal inquiry, meanwhile, could widen. The Serious Fraud Office is investigating the British end of the scandal and says Nick Leeson, who's been threatening to name names, will be an important witness. Linda Duffin, Sky News in the City of London.
Well, victims of thalidomide fear they could lose up to £6 million from their trust fund because of the collapse of Barrings. The Thalidomide Trust disagrees with the figure, but has admitted that cash in 2 accounts with Barrings has been frozen. The Thalidomide Action Group says it's greatly concerned about the safety of the money. And one thalidomide sufferer has called for an investigation by the Charity Commission into why the Trust invested all its money with Barrings. Well, Terry Everton is with me now. Thanks very much indeed for coming in. Now, you're obviously pretty cross with Barrings and just equally cross with the Trust, the way they put all their money into, as it were, all their eggs in one basket.
Well, that's right, yes. But we, as I said to you earlier, we received a letter on Thursday, well, I received a letter on Thursday stating that we'd got no problems and no monies were invested. And we have since found out, I found out myself this morning, that somebody had phoned Barrings and actually said that there is monies involved from the Thalidomide Trust and that no money under any circumstances is safe.
But isn't there, there's 65 million pounds that was in investments. That has been ring-fenced. That's actually separate and apart from that. It's the cash that we don't know what's happened to.
Well, that's right, because we can't get any straight answers.
Now, you've called for an investigation into the Trust's handling of your money by the charity commissioners. If the Trust is found to, you know, have made a mistake or whatever, would you be able to, much further would you like to take it?
Well, there's not a lot you can actually say because, as I've said to you, we're not getting any straight answers from anybody at the moment.
No, but if the charity commissioners
say... If it is found to be, then I think, personally, the Trust should be wound up and the money's paid out to the beneficiaries.
Well, let's talk about the beneficiaries. I mean, it's a big lump of money. What actually, what has it done, this money? Well, how does it help?
Well, we get an allocation each year from the Trust, but obviously you have to go and ask for it. And at 35 years of age, which I now am, and the majority of the thalidomide people are, I think we're quite able to look after our own funds.
You suffer internal problems caused by the drug?
Apart from various outward...
So, in fact, what you're saying now is we're old enough to look after our money. Is part of that because there are huge administration charges?
Well, that's right. Last year's administration charges for the Trust were £363,000. Now, I don't personally, and I know a lot of the beneficiaries don't believe that this is necessary under any circumstances. There are one or two unfortunate beneficiaries that will need guidance, but surely proposals and measures can be taken for them to cover these. The majority, as I've said, do not need this, and I don't see why.
So you'd really like to be able to actually handle your own money yourself?
Well, that's right, instead of having to go such as cap in hand.
Now, let's get back to the Barrings collapse. It seems that at this stage there are two Dutch banks who appear to be vying to take... Are you encouraged by that?
I'm slightly encouraged, but having said that, from what we've heard from the Trust and from what we've heard from other people, can you believe anything you hear?
So basically what you're looking for is somebody to give you some straight...
A definite answer, a straight answer. That's all we need, a straight answer. Where our money is and what's happened to it and what's going to happen to it in the future.
Thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.